All right. I don't know how well this is gonna work, honestly, but I guess we'll find out together. All right, so I think I could get rid of this browser window because there's no way, excuse me, early in the morning. There's no way that I can show the scoreboard, so I'll just have to show you off camera. You can tell I haven't shaved in a couple days, and yes, that's sort of a thing, that happens with us. You know, some of us still got to shave. Some get the laser treatment, but laser's expensive. You know, it is what it is. We come in all shapes and sizes. But anyway, so the reason why I've got this going is because I'm going to attempt anyway, because I've always wanted to do this ever since it started, and I see other people doing it. I always wanted to do the Wrestling Jeopardy and actually play along on camera, um, since I know a lot about wrestling, obviously. So I wanted to see how I could do on camera. And so I didn't watch this week's episode at all yet, pretty much to prepare myself for this because I don't want there to be any whole thing of, oh, well, I watched it already and I know the answers. None of that. So I'm going to be watching it for the first time while doing this. And also, let me put over here. And over here, I'm going to be keeping score. So you'll be seeing what my score is. I can't figure out how to fucking integrate it because usually when I do the display capture, I do it with the chat. But I can't figure out how to do two of those windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to after every round, because there's 5 rounds. There's 200 point, 400 point, 600 point, 800 point, 1,000 point. And by the way, if you're as old as I am, which I'm in almost 40, you're going to remember how Jeopardy used this. These scores are weird because those used to be the double Jeopardy scores. Because when we were growing up watching Jeopardy, it used to be 1 to $500, and 2 to 1,000 was double Jeopardy. Now double Jeopardy is the normal score. So now the normal first round score is 200 to 1,000. You can tell I haven't watched Jeopardy since Alex Trebek died. But anyway, um, so if you never watch wrestling trivia, Wrestling Jeopardy, it is basically Jeopardy. They just couldn't use that for the channel name because they want to, trademark it, sell merch, blah 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 blah. So it literally is Jeopardy, except instead of picking at random, like if you're in front of our actual Jeopardy board, you can say, I want this category for this amount of money. You don't do that. You just go straight through the board. So it's more like a trivia that's presented as Jeopardy because you can't select it. Now, I wish there was a way that you could select, or maybe somebody could download these episodes, chop them up, and make a randomizer. That'd be fucking fantastic. Especially since we're on episode 57 now, I think, of this damn show. So that'd be great. I would love to fucking see that. It'd be great at parties or pay-per-views, when you have people over. But yeah, so let's go into. And by the way, if you've never seen this guy, really, really Markish, which I don't personally like, but I like testing my knowledge, so I put up with the son of a bitch. All right, so let me lower this so you can actually hear me.
What's going on, everyone? For Wrestle Trivia, I'm your host, Kevin J. Callis. You're
Boo!
watching episode 57 of Wrestling Jeopardy!
I don't know if it's capturing the audio. I hope it
Where
is.
you're the contestant.
Now can you dig that? Sucker!
But you'll see the questions on the board anyway, so that's fine.
Categories that you're quiz,
Or I
don't
could
we?
always,
Starting with The Rock
not bad.
Says.
I could always add the audio in later.
Suggestion by Scott Decker 9115.
I think I might do the gamut on that one.
6 months ago during my first live stream. My bad. I apologize. Finally got to it. His suggestion was Madison Square Garden. Our third category, food and drink.
Like 3 generations of us, basically. I'm old enough. Hell, my grandmother used to go to the old garden before this one.
To you trolls out there who basically called me a WWE shill channel that I shouldn't call it wrestling.
No, I called you a mark.
WWE Jeopardy because
that's pretty much accurate.
Ask any questions about other organizations or promotions. Well, I let the members of this channel decide what topic they wanted from these choices.
Probably AEW.
Trivia, New Japan trivia, or Ring of Honor trivia.
It's all Tony Khan bullshit. Okay, I may be proud of you people for once. You picked Ring of Honor.
It's time for the 200-point job round. This is the easiest round in Wrestling Jeopardy. So let's jump right in and begin with this clue from The Rock Says. The Great One's Choice Vernacular lives on as the program title of this second longest running weekly episodic television program in history.
What is SmackDown? Oh, now he's got the music in the background.
Conceived as a one-time special back in 1999.
Yeah, in April '99.
So well received.
I remember watching that shit too.
Of fans that it became its own weekly show.
Because it was I think the first primetime wrestling special since NBC.
For 200, nestled within the towering skyline of this metropolis, Madison.
Come on, bro.
Arena that has witnessed the evolution of professional wrestling.
What is New York City? Come on, bro. Really? Really? Who doesn't know that fucking MSG is in New York?
Get a rope.
Oh my god.
Now for 200.
Some of these questions are just downright stupid.
141 2/3% chance of gastric distress after eating at the Shoney's in Ackworth, Georgia, that was owned by this big bad booty daddy.
What is Scott Steiner?
Now, unfortunately, this restaurant had to close due to the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Unfortunately, a lot of restaurants had to close because of COVID.
New sports bar in its place.
Best moves in town.
That's right. Here comes mascots for the first time. Pete Rose disguised himself as this legendary mascot at WrestleMania 15 in 1999.
What is the San Diego Chicken, I believe?
Seeking revenge against the Big Red Machine Kane for embarrassing him at the prior year's WrestleMania, baseball's all-time hit king donned the famous San Diego Chicken costume, but his gamble didn't pay off and Rose was tombstoned once again. And let's finish off the job around with this clue from Ring of Honor. The bitter rivalry between El Generico and this wrestler helped define Ring of Honor in the early 2010s.
What is Kevin Steen? Those are damn good matches, by the way, if y'all haven't seen them. Especially that ladder match.
On behalf of all Wrestling Jeopardy viewers, as well as myself, wishing a speedy recovery to the prize fighter, who is Kevin Owens, a.k.a. Kevin Steen.
Okay, so let's pause that a minute. And let's go to the board. So I got 5 right. So right now my score is 1,000. And now we're moving. Why is there only one more? Oh, that's it, because this has 6 for some reason. Because I guess that's how it is in the regular game, but in Wrestle Jeopardy it's only 5 questions. So I have 1,000 so far. And we're moving on to the 400-point round.
1 round down, 4 to go. Make sure you hit that like button if you went 5 for 5 in the jobber round. We begin the 400-point round.
Your mother's a jobber.
Says, in the build to WrestleMania 23's Battle of the Billionaires, The Rock said this wrestler's name in Samoan meant shriveled up monkey penis.
Who is Umaga?
Now, as funny as that is, it's not true because umaga roughly translates to the end and comes from the painful process of tattooing the abdomen in accordance with Samoan tradition.
I know what your name means, and it's not anything to do with the monkey.
Here comes Madison Square Garden for the second time. On September 22nd, 1997, the first ever Monday Night Raw at MSG saw the surprise WWE debut of this wrestler against Hunter Hearst Helmsley in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Who is Cactus Jack? And it's funny, I was actually there, and that's when I finally made the correlation, like, oh shit, this is
Bang, bang,
that guy from WCW. So for some reason, I thought that Mankind and Cactus Jack were separate until then.
No wrestling tour of Japan is complete without dining at this legendary steakhouse, famous for their highly sought-after satin jackets.
What is Ribera Steakhouse? And that is a bucket list item for me to go one day. To Akibara, to the, obviously some of the game stores, the retro game stores, and also to Ribera. Those are like two of my bucket list items.
In late 2010, Jack Swagger randomly began being accompanied by a giant eagle mascot, appropriately referred to by this name.
I'm going to take a pass on that one because I haven't really watched wrestling then, so
the All-American American's
I forget.
was
Baldy?
Swagger
Yes, I would have lost.
And we got a bonus
what?
For you, worth another 400 points. What former cruiserweight champion portrayed the Swagger soaring eagle?
I want to say, who is Jamie Noble?
Fittingly, it must run in the family because his uncle Hector was the OG gobbledygooker.
Wait, there, Chavo playing that?
Mother-in-law, pal.
Who is Chavo Guerrero?
Why am I not surprised? I think Chavo has honestly, and I missed one, whatever. Because that second one doesn't count. But anyway, it seems like Chavo is doing everything he can to kill the Guerrero name, isn't it? You know, like, you figure Hector and Eddie, his dad, proud Mexican wrestlers, Lucha Libre running through the blood. Chavo wants to be white so bad.
And let's finish up the 400-point round with
ironic about that eagle noise.
In 2022, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, and this brother tag team were announced as the inaugural class to be inducted into the ROH Hall of Fame.
Who are the Briscoes? Not Jack and Jerry, Mark and Jay.
The pride of San
They just put an E at the end of their name. See, they're not the same.
Jay and Mark, the Briscoes. All right, 10 questions down, 15.
Okay, so now that round is over, I missed one, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So right now I'm at 26. So I missed one. So.
To go, plus the daily double, and
oh God.
Jeopardy. Here comes the 600-point clue from The Rock Says.
Of course.
Well, that was quick. I wasn't expecting that so early, but we'll take it. The daily double is here. The category, The Rock Says. If you smell what I'm cooking, place your wager now.
I'll say fucking just put everything in.
Up, jabronis. Here is this episode's daily double clue. Ahead of Armageddon 2000, The Rock delivered an all-time classic promo, ripping all of his Hell in a Cell opponents to shreds. Name The Rock's 5 opponents.
So I have to pause this once, this way I can name them. Okay, so I believe it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Rikishi, The Undertaker. Let's see, Stone Cold, Triple H, Rikishi, The Undertaker, Kurt Angle.
Who were your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle?
I'm gonna drink a big glass of milk.
That thong-wearing fatty of a cousin, Rikishi.
I did it for The Rock.
The Undertaker. Triple H.
Damn, he literally said it backwards from what I said it.
Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
So let's take care of that now because that was a daily double. See if this has a daily double. How do I score a daily double with this scorekeeper now? Because I don't see any scoring for the daily double, so I just... Damn it. Oh yeah, I could just see 2,600, 32. Oh, of course, 5,200. How ironic, because that's what we're literally working on, and that's our series going forward. So ain't that ironic? So right now I have 5,200, and that's from the daily double in itself. Now, when we do the 600-point round now, there's four more questions, so I can earn a max of four more questions. So if I go 5 for 5, I don't count one because I already did it. We just count four more.
Because the great one said
That's
so.
how.
Here comes another clue about the Mecca for 6. Much has been said over the years about this infamous incident that occurred between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall at an MSG house show on May 19th, 1996.
What is the curtain call? And I was there for that one as well. Because it used to be so... I'm going to pause this for a minute. Because I have to say this because it's just been bugging me. Especially ever since I seen that front row seats for SummerSlam in MetLife is $40,000. I get it. It's for Raw, SmackDown, 2 nights. Still, all this VIP shit, but still absolutely bullshit. Especially when I was growing up, ringside seats at MSG were like $10 every month, like 10, 15, $20. And now you got people like us people, casual, not casual, but like normal people are being priced out. I used to be able to go to the Garden every year for the holiday show. I can't even go no more. Haven't been able to go since the pandemic because last time I went, I would always try to get the 100 section seats for like $100, and that's not on the floor, but it's like, you know, it's close to the ring, right? You can see the ring at a comfortable distance. But now those seats that I used to sit in are like $300-$400, and especially someone on disability, that's, we deserve to live our lives too. And I know some people would say, well, get a job, or all the stupid shit that they say to people on disability. Like, look, motherfucker, if I could work, I would. Don't get me started on ranting and raving about how I wish I was able-bodied so I could work. Well, there's a lot of able-bodied people that don't want to work. Don't get me started because that's like a 3-hour rant for me. Okay? But we deserve to live our lives as normal as possible. And, on disability, you can earn so much before your benefits start getting um, cut, before you got to reduce your benefits. So I used to take odd jobs here and there and get paid, 10, $20 here and there. Or maybe I would sell something on eBay to raise money for something. Sometimes I would get help from family. But that's sort of been a tradition of going to this damn show. And now I can't even do it because it's basically half of what I get paid every goddamn month. I am not spending $400 for one night. That's crazy. Especially when, even with these tariffs going on, it's still most of us new system. It's These are the good old days when you used to actually be able to go. Now forget it.
What is the curtain call? And so much has been said about the curtain call that I even wrote a little song about it.
No, 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 we're not. See what I mean? Yeah, I agree. Don't quit your. What is his day job anyway?
With food and drink for 600. The Squared Circle in Chicago was a wrestling-focused sports bar and restaurant owned by this former WWE TNA wrestler and her husband.
I want to say Victoria?
Who is Victoria Tara? Her real name is Lisa Marie Varon.
Got it.
Turns mascots for the third time. Logan Paul recently revealed he offered this WWE legend $1 million to wear the Prime Hydration mascot costume at WrestleMania 41.
I'm going to take the L on this one because fuck Logan Paul. I don't give a shit of anything he's got to say.
This legend said, oh, hell no. So he took his ATV and basically ran it into the ringside barricade. Who is Stone Cold Steve Austin? And let's finish.
But see what I mean? The fuck? And look, it's not, oh, well, he's a heel. That's what he's supposed to do. There are people, generations of people that were bad guys in the business and were genuinely nice guys outside of it. You know, like, and I know people disagree, but fuck you, I've actually met these people. For example, Earthquake or Typhoon or Vader. King Kong Bundy was a big one. Bundy was a sweetheart outside the fucking business. And obviously, some people may remember, may not remember the story with him when he passed away. He had all these cats because he would adopt them because he didn't want them being in a shelter. So he took care of so many cats that local rescues had to basically say, hey, look, you know, this guy was always good to us. These cats need good homes. He was a sweetheart. Bundy was one of those people that if you treated him right with respect and treated him right, he treated you with respect. And, you know, it was a privilege to even get to talk to him for a little bit, to sit with him. But yeah, but they were just bad guys to do their job. Logan Paul's just a fucking asshole. You know, I don't need to go over all of his crimes against society, and because you could look that shit up easily. But this is just his fucking ego, and this motherfucker never paid his dues, never fucking worked any independence, never even got trained legitimately. He just went down and took a few bumps at the goddamn performance center. At least I could respect Pat McAfee because he trained with Rip Rogers. You know, I'm at least I could sort of like give him some credit. I can't give Logan Paul any. And for him to sit there and be egotistical enough to offer $1 million to pretty much one of the fucking biggest legends in the business and think he would take it? Like,
Finish off
fuck
the
you.
600-point round with more Ring of Honor. ROH distinguished itself from other promotions through this set of rules that dictated how wrestlers should conduct themselves during matches.
What is the code of honor?
What is the code of honor?
Man, I go way back for fucking Ring of Honor, from back when they were in the Rexplex. All right. So let's calculate that. I took an L on that one question, which I'm glad I did. So 1, 2, and 3. So I'm at 7,000 now, and we're at the 800-point round.
You're abiding by the Wrestle Trivia Code of Honor and not cheating.
I'd say that's an accurate statement.
Here comes the first clue of
I'm on video, so hey.
Returning to WWE in 2011, The Rock said that even this musical icon could see John Cena if he was blindfolded, sleeping, and stuck in a basement.
I want to say who is Eminem, but I want to say Stevie Wonder.
His iconic Fruity Pebbles line, The Rock joked that even Stevie Wonder could see Cena and his colorful t-shirt collection.
Yeah, because technically that last line would be something out of Eminem's playbook, but I knew it was Stevie Wonder, so I was like, I want to say Eminem, but I'm going to go with Stevie Wonder.
On to MSG for 800. Bruno Sammartino and Ivan Koloff's intense rivalry throughout the 1970s resulted in this special stipulation match happening for the first time ever in Madison Square Garden history.
Wait. First of all, not going on a rant here, just this is a learning thing. First of all, what is a steel cage match? And it's important to emphasize this, that it was the first time in MSG history. I forget the actual date, but I know it was in 1975. Because WWE loves to try to do their revisionist history and try to claim that the Koloff and Bruno cage match was the very first that they ever did as a company, which was absolute crap because not only did they do them from the late 60s on, usually in Philadelphia, they would almost always, when they had cage matches back then, they would, before the MSG one, they almost would always do it in Philadelphia. And it wasn't the chain link, excuse me, that you would know of now. It was actually, let me see if I can pull it up. It was actually made of chicken wire. Let me see if I can pull it up. Damn it. Should put cage match. There we go. And of course, it's Facebook, so they use tiny ass photos. Here is. So here's. Again, this, by the way, this guy in this picture is Nikolai Volkov. Now, I'm sure some of you have seen this picture before. But that's Nikolai Volkov in the cage. And funnily enough, the guy in the corner here is Grand Wizard, but he was called under another name. I forget what it was, but before he became the Grand Wizard, he was like a sheikish character. Abdullah Farouk. There we go. This is when he was the Abdullah Farouk character. And I forget if this particular picture was taken in Boston or Philly, because Philadelphia, they used to be at the Civic Center before the Spectrum opened. So this was the very first cage that WWE, then known as the WWF, three W's, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, that they used as a cage match. And you can see that the structure was made of wood, much like the Memphis cage. So basically, they would use wood as like a structure to keep everything tied in. And they would literally use rope, actual rope, and the rope would also connect the chicken wire to the metal foundation. It was very rickety, very, very rickety. And the second point that I want to try to make is WWE actually put up um, the cage match between Bruno and George Steele that was done in 1970, I want to say, but that was in Philadelphia. WWE actually put it up on your YouTube channel. So for WWE to sit there and say that the MSG one was the first ever in the company's history, bullshit. So just remember, when you're doing that whole question, it was the very first cage match in MSG history. And there's also another picture of that. And it's this. So this one, and of course you got the cream colored ropes and turnbuckles and shit. This is 1975. Let's see if I remember. December 15, 1975. All right. And see, they actually say it here in MSG history, but sometimes they'll pull the revisionist history out. Let me see if I could show you the George Steele one, because someone actually put up the whole match. Because before that, WWE would just put up clips, like see they did here. But there was actually someone that put up the full match with the cage being set up and everything. Let me see if I can. I'll get back to Jeopardy. I just want to show you real quick, because That's part of the reason why I want to do this, because it's sort of a learning thing. I could, especially since a lot of this older stuff is being lost to time, and a lot of these younger kids, and if you're under 30, you won't remember a lot of this stuff. I more do because I had a grandmother and an aunt, because Raccoon watches it the same amount of time my grandmother did. My raccoon grew up with it, so I was able to ask her or my grandmother, because my grandma was only alive for 6 years. So I was able to ask them both, like, if they remember this or remember that, and they would tell stories. Which, if you're a wrestling fan, it's very important, if you have an elderly relative that watch, like a grandmother or an older aunt, talk to them, get their stories, because one day a lot of these stories are going to disappear, and it's just crowd noise. But see, this is how they're setting it up, and this was in 1970, and you could see it was just a standard frame, and you can see how rickety it was. You can see a little bit of the how the structure's made now in that. Like, they still use the T-bar. Now they just pull it from the fucking ceiling, but there's still some house shows where they don't pull it down from the ceiling, where they just construct it, and that's how the two walls are kept, because the T-bar keeps them together. And then there's hooks in the corners that hook it's like a staple looking shape like this, and it hooks the corners in, and the wood is used for stability. But they don't use stable wood no more. They had to back then, because you see the pipes that they used to make the frame were so thin. And obviously the cage was chicken wire, because no one was thinking of jumping off the steel cage. That wouldn't happen for another half decade with Jimmy Superfly Snuka. No, actually another decade, because in New York, Snuka jumped off the cage starting in '82. So back then, no one was thinking of jumping off the cage or climbing the cage, doing these high spots. It was literally, you beat the shit out of your opponent and just go out the door. And that's another thing with you can tell if someone grew up watching wrestling in either the North or South, because the South, the rules are different. The South, they just put up the cage and it's a standard match, pinfall submission. Whereas in New York, the North, you just would there was no referee inside. You would beat the shit out of your opponent, and the first one out wins. So, a real contrast of rules. So I'm going to go back to Wrestling Jeopardy now, but the next time, like, you want to find out where they started watching their wrestling from, ask them what the rules of a cage match are, and see what they say. I know I've taken up a lot of time already. Somebody's going to complain about that, but fuck them.
On December 15th, 1975, the living legend and the Russian Bear were locked inside a solid steel cage, the first ever cage match in the history of MSG.
Yep.
Here comes food and drink for
And on HBO.
The Nature Boy Ric Flair used to say he'd be partying all night long at the Marriott in downtown Baltimore, but nowadays the go-to spot in Charm City for wrestlers and wrestling fans alike is this famous seafood restaurant.
Oh, god damn it. It's at the tip of my tongue, too.
And you can see me there at every one of their trivia.
Damn it!
Best crab cakes in the world. What is Jimmy's famous seafood?
Good thing I passed it and I would have gotten it wrong.
This former member of the elite once had
I missed another one.
Bernard the business bear and a drug-free bear named Barry.
I don't remember. Elite. Can't be Paige. Maybe Kenny Omega?
To quote this wrestler, the creative freedom he was allowed here just went
I'll go
over
Cody.
the line a little bit there. Who is the American?
Yeah, Cody.
Cody Rhodes.
Fuck it, I'm counting that because he didn't give the answer.
And here comes your final clue before the 1,000-point round main event from Ring of Honor. The main event of the first ROH show was a triple threat match featuring Bryan Danielson, Christopher Daniels, and this inaugural Ring of Honor champion.
Ooh. I want to say Low Key.
Low Key banger of a match. The correct answer is Low Key.
Okay, so where's the scoreboard? Damn it. Oh, shut up. So, missed one. So we do 4. There we go. So I'm at 10,200, and now we're at the 1,000-point round. Oh. Thank God they didn't put the stupid Jey Uso thing in there, because fuck Jey Uso.
We've reached the most difficult round in wrestling Jeopardy. This is the 1,000-point round.
Really hard.
God damn it, fuck you! Ugh, I hate Jey Uso, man.
These 5 questions are guaranteed to put
A jobber holding the world title. Ain't that some shit?
What you call it?
Let's begin with our final clue from The Rock says, fill in the blank from this quote from WrestleMania 30. We got Batista, King Kong Bundy, Shawn Michaels, and blank. If they fought the 3 of us, we'd stick our boots right up their anus.
Andre the Giant?
Now, I admit, it's a shameful thing trying to figure out the name of a wrestler that rhymes with anus. But the correct answer, who is she?
Yeah, I got that. So 3 I got wrong so far.
Here comes MSG for 1,000. This 2019 Super Show was the first wrestling event held at MSG.
I was there.
Not owned by the McMahon family since 1960.
And that would be G1 Supercard. What is G1 Supercard?
Co-produced by Ring of Honor and New Japan was the G1 Supercard.
Funny story about that, by the way. And you know, another reason you could tell that I didn't watch this episode before doing this is because if I knew this was going to be a thing, if I knew this was going to be a question, I would have pulled out my keychain and my coin because I still have them. They didn't have no programs, at least that I was able to see at the merch counter, but they did have a coin. It's like this metal coin. I still have it sealed in the package. A keychain that I had on my keys for so long until the paint, because those were cheap shit. So I don't know what they used to paint the coin, but that rubbed off almost immediately. So my keychain went from being this gold and vibrant with the red and blue to being non-existent with paint at all. And I also have a pin which I had on my book bag, but it broke because it got stuck in the fucking, because I was slinging it over my shoulder, which I should really get a shoulder bag instead of a book bag. But I actually got caught on the fucking rail in the escalator. Going up to the second floor of the theater in Empire 25. So, yeah, I don't. Suffice to say, that pin is long broken. But funny story about G1 is, I don't know if everybody remembers the big controversy that happened during the show with Enzo and Cass all of a sudden showing up there. That it seemed like they were uninvited, but come to find out, Ring of Honor actually invited them without telling the boys. So the God literally was about to kick their ass for real, and we were buzzing like, what the fuck was that? And since it's a very smart crowd compared to a WWE show, it's pretty much all smarks and internet wrestling fans in the show. So literally, like, I want to say, like, it didn't even take maybe 5 minutes for the word to go around the arena that it was planned and that there was a locker room fight. I don't know who started it because we were in the upper rows because we got tickets to that show literally last minute because once it was announced that the Elite weren't going to be there, because remember at this point, AEW had just started. They didn't have their first show yet, but this was a couple months removed from the announcement of AEW, so it was pretty much announced that the Elite wasn't going to be there. Most people bought tickets just to see the Elite. So there, basically the week of the show, there was plenty of tickets available. So me and my boy Cactus snatched up a pair. A couple of other friends of mine snatched up another couple tickets, so we all went together. And which is probably the only time he's really seen a lot of my friends that are outside of his circle, but that's another story for another day. So it didn't take long for word to travel that of what happened, that the big kerfluffle, and pretty much the whole story was out there by the time that the Ring of Honor match, the Ring of Honor World Title match started. So that was fun.
Here comes food and drink for the final time. Housed inside the Excalibur Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, this restaurant boasted such menu items as the Booker T-Bone, the Big Sexy Porterhouse, and the Gold Burger.
What is the Nitro Grill? And damn it, I wish I would have went just once. That would have been a great time.
Sadly, it was only open for 16 months, but the WCW Nitro Grill was where the big boys ate.
And it's funny because you could tell that the fork and knife and shit like that's photoshopped. They're not actually holding it. That was just added after the fact.
We have a visual clue for you. Who dis?
Who is Wildcat Willie? I love how they tried to like mask the belt.
This was the official mascot
of WCW
Championship Wrestling from 1995 to 1999. Who was Wildcat Willie?
I think he had his own comic book too.
WCW, get it?
Tommy, you didn't just say that, sucker!
And the final
But it's weird. I don't think that he ever really appeared on TV too much.
clue on the board.
I more know Wildcat Willie from WrestleCrap.
Ring of Honor. At the aforementioned 2019 G1 Supercard, this wrestler defeated both Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll in a three-way ladder match to win his first Ring of Honor world title.
God damn it. I was there, but I'm trying to remember who the fuck it was. I remember being pissed that he won. I do remember that. Obviously, Marty, we already knew his past, and I didn't give a fuck about him too much. Jay was a personal friend of some of us. Not me personally, because I more grew up outside of Elizabeth during those formative years. But like Cactus, his buddies, they all knew Jay because they all went to high school together. To the point when Jay actually won the, I think it was the X Division belt in TNA, he actually, as Black Machismo, he actually paraded around Broad Street in Elizabeth in full getup. Like, with the whole Black Machismo getup, wearing the fucking belt going into, because he came in the toy and game line with that shit. God damn it. I have a name in my mind, but I don't think it's him. I'm just going to say fuck it. I don't remember. I guess it's a good thing my brain blocked it out, because I was furious that he went over.
And in doing so, he became the second Ring of Honor Grand Slam champion.
That's why! Matt fucking Taven! As I can never figure out for the life of me why him? Like, why? Like, why was he there? Why did they put him in the fucking match? I was like, I don't even know if I still have the video, but I was booing heavily when that motherfucker won. I was like, fuck him!
It's the gift that keeps on giving this episode.
And maybe I'll finally catch up.
Here you go for another 1,000 points. Who is the first Ring of Honor Grand Slam champion?
I want to say Danielson, but I know I'm going to get that wrong. I forget.
The fallen angel Christopher Daniels. All right, 25 clues are down. 27 clues are down. One to go to Detroit.
Because I would go to the shows, but I wasn't like following it too much until later on. So I would just go, get out of the house, watch some cool matches.
Fourth, be with you.
Hmm.
All right, time is up. Here comes this.
Wait, I think I'm going to just say fuck it and go all in. Get it?
Clue. What wrestling move did Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Moné, bust out against Boba Fett in the Season 2 finale of the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian?
I believe this
A choke slam, B, a drop kick, C, a face buster, or D, a tornado DDT?
Tornado DDT. Because I remember thinking how stupid it was that... Let me just say this. Because if you've ever been in a real fight, which clearly I have many times, I don't think a lot of you marks actually been in a real fight. You know, a lot of the internet message board assholes. But there's some moves in wrestling you can use in a legitimate fight. You know, maybe sometimes a choke slam, you know, a face buster if you're grabbing someone and just throw them down somewhere. But a tornado DDT is not one of those fucking things that you would use in a real fight. In a real fight, you're not going to have the time to spin around and then just boom. It's just not going to happen. A drop kick, I have never seen anyone use that in a real fight. Ever. Now, a lot of submissions you could use. Like, you could step over someone and put them in a hold, like an STF. And a lot of people would make fun of when the fuck is his name? Eric Watts did that to Arn Anderson. But technically, you can do that. You can trip somebody, and especially if it's like a armed invader or someone that shouldn't be there, or you're holding someone for the cops. That actually could work because I've actually had to do that before. Don't want to get too much into the story, but I had to hold someone in STF until police showed up. But a tornado DDT, hell no.
Playing the character of Casca Reeves, Mercedes proved to be a major force in the Star Wars universe.
Hit that bitch.
As she blasted the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy with a tornado.
See, look at this shit. When the hell would you ever see anyone using that in a real fight? I mean, come the fuck on now. Alright, so now that that's fucking over, let's see what our final score was. So we missed one in the last round. 1, 2. Oh, wait. Wait. So I had. Yeah, alright. Wait a minute, yeah, because I accidentally put one as wrong when it was right. So I have a 13,200, and I doubled it during Final Jeopardy. Math be hard. I 16,400, I believe. So that's my score for this episode. of Wrestling Jeopardy, and it was not bad. I missed three questions, so, and to be honest, one is something. Well, technically, I am not counting the Logan Paul one. I'm sorry. I missed three legitimate ones. So yeah, not bad. It just means that because first of all, two of which I legitimately forgot because I am getting older, and one I didn't really watch too much of WWE in 2010. I sort of did, but it's like Jim Cornette would always say about his time in WWE. You know, that his brain is trying to block it out. It's almost like a hostage situation. Like, I am trying to block out of my mind the years 2005 to at the very least 2015 for WWE, because the PG era was the ruthless aggression started out fine, but when they delved more into the PG era, it was total crap. So I'm trying to block, and of course, there's some times where that comes back to bite me in the ass because now that as I'm recording this next week is supposed to be, we'll see if it really is, the final time with Cena and Orton, I'm reminded of something that I tried to long forget, and that was that fucking bragging rights 2009 Iron Man match. I had company over, and we all pretty much fall asleep. I was drifting in and out. If you ever wanted to see that match somehow, don't. In fact, I'll tell you exactly how it went. It was literally they were beating the shit out of each other for the first 10 minutes. And then until pretty much the last 5 minutes of the match, they took turns. Like one was resting, the other one was working. So it's almost like Cena and Orton basically said, okay, we're going to go for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to beat the shit out of you for 10 minutes while you sleep it off. Then then I'm going to rest and you're going to beat the shit out of me for 10 minutes. And we'll just roll reverse until the last 5 minutes. Then we'll kick it up again and we'll get paid. That's literally what it was. Like, one would be down for 10 minutes while the other one worked, and a comeback, and then the script would flip, and then back over again. It's one of the worst matches I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them. In fact, I couldn't be asked to tell you who won that fucking match because I don't care. And so, anyway, that was Wrestling Jeopardy. And hopefully, in a little bit, I know I still have this whole thing I use for streaming games, but I should try to make one specifically for Wrestling Jeopardy. So we have a final score of 16,400, and I guess I'll see you next week. Maybe do this again. It's going to be harder because at least I was able to do this today because Raccoon's in the kitchen, so I had the living room to myself because she's got to get a knee replacement. So she's going to be pretty much camped out in the living room for the next few months. So it's going to be hard. It's to the point where I'm doing more of my computing on my Steam Deck in the bedroom than I am in the living room computer here. So I'm pretty much in here when I can. So sometime more not if I have to do streams in the future, you'll probably see her behind me. So and I'm dealing with my foot injury still, so who the hell knows when I can get that fixed now because I gotta take care of her. So it's fun, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so I gotta get going because I got washed down the cellar that I gotta do. So until next time, Rachel Schaefer signing off. Oh, one more thing. One more thing. I want to stress this because I did show Jesse the upcoming video, and he had a concern that because Normally when I do an anthology like I'm doing now, I split it into weeks. So when I talk about this week, next week, it's by episode. But Jesse thought that maybe I was trying to. He maybe thought that the narrative was that it took a couple weeks for me to get the system, which obviously is not true. But he felt better if I would just clarify that, and I did in the description, but I'll do it again. When I sent that to Sophia, including return time, I had it back within like 7 days. So I shipped it out. He had it within 2 days. It took 2 days for him to work on it. Then I had it back in three. So within a week, but I had all the episodes shot before that. So that's why I presented them that way before, because apparently he had customers complaining about his work taking too long. I don't know why, but important to also note, and he's not asking me to do this one. This one's on the house, pretty much. Um, because technically, full disclosure, he pretty much said I could do whatever. He sent me that video after the work got done. And he pretty much told me that I could do whatever I wanted because it was my video. But I felt more comfortable asking him to look over it. And there was a couple changes that had to be made because I originally had his last name listed, which obviously he didn't want me to do, which I get it. Not everyone wants their shit out there. Um, I would have made whatever changes as far as showing him on camera that he wanted, even though it was my video, because again, I want to work with someone with that, especially if it's their face, their likeness, especially we live in a day. I've been swatted. I've been doxxed and things like that. So I know what it's like. And if someone's coming at me with privacy concerns, I'm naturally going to try to do my best to rectify that situation and make that better for them. So even though I didn't have to, I wanted to because, and it's called courtesy, you know. And so I showed him the video, and he sent me his concerns with that. But there's also another thing I want to say before I get to my point. Another thing is that a concern of his was that there was some information that I was getting wrong. And yes, I did. But I also corrected that in later videos. And I get he's a little, oh, what the fuck is that word? Not uppity, but a little protective of his work and protective of himself. And I get that. Um, However, I keep my mistakes in because I am just a normal. I'm experienced when it comes to taking shit apart and cleaning it up, putting it back together again. Not so much at repair, soldering, all that shit. Um, so I'm bound to make mistakes. And a lot of people that put these restoration videos up, I'll give Tito as an example, Nacho Nacho. He'll say he made mistakes, but not even show them. A lot of these YouTubers, when they do those videos, they go out of their way to edit their mistakes. I try not to. And the reason why is because I want these videos to encourage people to try it themselves. Even if you have no experience, even if you want to attempt it and you've never attempted it, I want it to be where you're comfortable enough to see me do it and go, hey, I can do this. Soldering ain't for everyone. I get that. You got to send that out to someone. I do. However, something as simple as taking it apart to clean it or to get a plug and play device like an ODE or like a GameCube build that we just did. Everything there was not a lick of soldering that was needed because the GameCube came with the caps replaced. So everything that I did to that GameCube was plug and play. And I know how to solder a little bit, but not too much. I don't do it too well. But I was able to do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. And naturally, there's going to be mistakes. And especially since I've been working on tech for about 20 something years, you're still going to make mistakes. You know, it's part, it shouldn't beat yourself up. It's part of the whole process. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from them. And that's why I show that on camera. So say, hey, look, there's going to be times you're going to fuck up, but you're going to learn from them and it's going to be better. You're going to be fine. And I do correct some of the stuff in the next video as far as, suspicions of it not working with certain things. And I even put in the notes as far as like in video that the following week will be about the cartridge. So, because a lot of the problems I ran into were because of a setting on the Atari Max cartridge. And I talk about that and show it off, as well as Dig Dug, because Dig Dug wasn't working either. So there goes that. But the thing I really want to stress as far as wait times when it comes to modders, I get he's concerned about that, and customers can be a real dick. But at the same time, if you send your stuff out to them, and believe me, I've had good modders like Jesse, like Stone Age Gamer, Long Island Retro was, which is one up restorations, wasn't too bad. They're just a little pricey. But I've also had bad modders like Pork Chop Express, um, that other guy that did the 5200 on eBay, I forget his username. I've had good modders, I've had bad modders. And the thing with all of them is that they usually, if they have an established clientele, they're gonna have a wait list. So I get you, customers want their shit now, and believe me, sometimes I feel that way. It takes like I see modders where they tell me up front that it's gonna be a month, and I'm just like, fuck, well, whatever. As long as it gets here in one, because I'm personally scared of doing that because I figure if it's longer than a couple weeks, it's going to get misplaced. That's my biggest concern, especially when you hear Adrian's Digital Basement talking about, well, he's had mail that people sent him that sat in his basement for a year before he opened them up. It's like, oh no, But if they're a good modder, it'll get done and it'll come back to you. Like I could send it to Stone Age Gamer, I could send it to Jesse and know that it'll be taken care of and I'll have to worry about it. But just be aware, if you're sending out any work to be done, and with all these great mods coming out, even despite the tariff situation, um, it needs to be known you need to have patience. There's going to be times where the backlog of theirs is going to be long, especially since Stone Age Gamer, out of all of them, I think is the only people that do it as a full-time job. So that's why you can send this something to Stone Age Gamer and get it back so quick. Ivory Tower and the rest of them, they do it as a side job. They have a normal day job and they take on their modding jobs on their free time. And I get you paid them, completely get that, but that's why the wait times are so long. Voltar, as far as I can remember as I'm shooting this, he has a backlog of 8 weeks. That's like 2 months. So get used to that, especially if you got to send out your retro stuff. Get used to month-long or couple months long wait times. But go for a modder like Jesse that doesn't bill, or Stone Age Gamer that won't bill you until the job is done. They'll ask you for a deposit. Excuse me, let me just get the seat in my chair here. They'll ask you for a deposit. I think Jesse asked for half up front, and Stone Age Gamer asks for a $50 deposit, I believe, if I remember right. But after that initial deposit, you don't fully pay until after the work is done. And Jesse will even go so far as to ship your shit out to you and basically ask that you pay him once you're satisfied with the work. See me, I didn't do that with the 5200 because I trusted Jesse, and it came out great. So I didn't need to worry about that with Jesse. I would have, and knowing my how I'm on disability, I probably maybe would consider that in the future. I think he gives you like 90 days to pay him or something like that. I could be wrong. I have to look at the email again. It's not something that I like to do because if the work is done, I'd like to pay the guy, or I'd like to know that I have the money on me and separate it before I even send it out. But yeah, just keep that. Be patient with the modders. You're not going to get your shit back right away. It's going to take time. So just have a little patience. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say from here. I have a mail call episode coming up after these 5200 videos. I'm gonna do the trackball episodes in June because I ran into a couple of issues with the 3D printed parts. So unfortunately, I have to open up the trackball again and take it apart. I'm working with Console 5 to see where the problem was, maybe so they could refine it. I still have the original optical wheels. So, but the ball, but the track, but the what the hell is that? The shaft they made me was great, and I hope they sell that. But so there's two more 5200 episodes as a mail call because of everything going on. I had to halt my diabolic packages. He had to hold my shit for a few months, so I was finally able to fully pay him, and I had a whole box of stuff sent to me. So that's the last video of the month, and hopefully, knock on wood, because I'm at the point where the money fell off, but I still have my orders through Best Buy for the Switch 2. So knock on wood, hope I stay, and I'll be shooting the midnight launch because honestly, the way the prices are going up, I also I can't stand literally for long periods of time like I used to because of the diabetes. My legs are getting worse, and so this might be probably the last, not just midnight launch, but last console launch I can partake in. Because I'm sorry, I am not paying $1,000 potentially for a next gen console. Fuck that. So honestly, I think this might be the last one. And if it is, I want to fully document it from start to finish, from placing the order to going to the store to opening it to setting it up. I want to do everything. I sort of did that for the original Switch, but I don't know where the fucking videos are. I remember I think I ran into at least one of them in my cloud drive, so I might just put that up as a bonus. But yeah. So let me get going because I've already been on here for like an hour and 10. So I will catch you next time.